Hi guys, it's me, Kari, and I am back with the next part of Dicey's song. I stuck by him, but I got to thinking after he died whether there weren't things I should have done. He wasn't happy, not a happy man. I knew that. I got to know it. He wasn't happy to be himself. And I just let him be, let him sit there high and proud in his life. I let the children go away from him, and from me. I got to thinking, when it was too late, you have to reach out to people, to your family too. You can't just let them sit there. You should put your hand out. If they slap it back, well, you reach out again if you care enough. If you don't care enough, you forget about them if you can. I don't know, girl. Dicey watched into the fire where blue-edged flames leaped up towards the chimney. I can't say any more that Millie Tidings is stupid, Graham said. What did she mean by that? Dicey wondered. How did she get to Millie? Because Millie is always reaching out. She's always had a hand out for me. Not that I've taken it much. She's got one out for you, hasn't she, girl? I'm not saying that Millie's thought this out because she didn't need to, because there's wisdom in her. Dicey didn't say anything. And I see this paper of yours as a kind of reaching out, Graham said. She stopped then, as if she was finished. What do you mean? Dicey demanded. She wasn't going to let Graham stop there, not until she understood. Think about it, Graham said. No, you tell me. Reaching out, but for what? I don't know, Graham said. If I was sure, I'd say. For your mama, maybe? For all of us, maybe? But I don't think so. I think maybe it's reaching out for that school. Somehow. I'm not saying that's what you thought you were doing, or what you even wanted to do, but it's how it turned out. And I'm sorry the way it turned out, because somebody slapped your hand but good and hard. But I don't want you to stop reaching, just because it didn't come out the way it should have. Dicey stared at her grandmother. Her mind was whirling. That's why Mr. Lingerly, she began. Graham's smile flashed across her face under the golden color of the fire painted there. He's met us halfway, hasn't he? She observed. I took him in the nature of an experiment, you know? I wondered if I could. I like him, don't you? Sure, Dicey said. We all do. But that's why you told him how poor we are? You don't go reaching out with your hand closed up, Graham said. It worked out all right this time. Dicey thought. It took me so long to learn, Graham explained. I'd like you to have more of a head start. Dicey threw back her head and laughed. She didn't know why, except the feelings inside her needed some expression. If she grabbed Graham's hands and started dancing around the room, Graham would think she was crazy, for one, and she'd drop those stitches for another. She was laughing because she couldn't hug her grandmother, and because she'd figured out something else right then, that Graham was reaching out for her, Dicey. And Dicey was laughing for another reason, because she had a phone call to make. She found the address and number in the directory they kept beside the phone. Graham was curious, but didn't ask questions. Dicey knew Graham was curious, so she didn't wait to keep her phone call private. The man answered the phone. Is Wilhelmina there, please? Dicey asked. Do you know what time it is? The man answered. No, Dicey said. I don't. I'm sorry. Is it too late to call? When I was a boy, my mother told me you shouldn't ever call after 10, the voice instructed her. I'm sorry, Dicey said again. She bit her lip to keep from giggling. He had a voice like Mina's, just as rich, only deeper. I didn't know it was after 10. It's not exactly. Not yet, the voice told her, but it will be in 7 minutes. I'll get Mina, but don't be long. Thank you, Dicey said. Who shall I say is calling? Dicey Tillerman. There was a short silence. Ah, he said. She heard the phone at his end clatter down onto a table. Dicey? Mina's voice came. I won't, Dad, she called over her shoulder. I just wanted to say thank you, Dicey said, for helping out today. She could hear the smile in Mina's voice as she answered. That was some fun, wasn't it? I can understand that, Mina agreed. I was thinking I ought to thank you for giving me such a good chance to show off, so I guess we're about even. Talk to you tomorrow, okay? Okay, Dicey said. I really like Georgia now. We'll form a mutual admiration society, Mina answered. See you. See you, Dicey answered. She turned back to meet Graham's eyes. Wilhelmina Smith, she explained. Her father's the preacher, isn't he? Graham asked. She's the one who... I figured that out. I don't know, Dicey. Graham didn't finish the sentence. You'll like Mina, you'll see, Dicey reassured her. Of course I will, I already do. But I'm a crazy old bat. My opinion's not worth a flea bite. I'm just wondering what her people will think. What they already think. About me. Who says you're a crazy old bat? Dicey demanded. James said you're crazy like a fox. He said that right away. You can't fool us, Graham. Good, Graham answered. Are you going to bed or not? I thought you had reading to do. Mina and Dicey walked down the hall together at the end of the school day. A few people greeted Dicey, who hurried to keep up with Mina. "Hey, Dicey," they said. "Hey," she answered. "Hey, Mina," they said, passing by. As they stepped out into the biting air, Mina asked, "How's it feel to be a folk hero?" Dicey stopped and stared up at her companion. She didn't answer except to say, "Most of them, I don't even know their names." "Hey, Dicey," Jeff called. He had a case for his guitar, probably to protect the wood from the cold air. Dicey was kind of sorry. She had gotten used to hearing a song or two at the end of the day. "I hear you put Chappelle into his place." "That wasn't me, that was Mina," Dicey told him. "Do you know Mina?" "Everybody knows Mina," Jeff said. "Yeah," Mina answered. "Everybody knows you too, friend." "That's what they think," Jeff said. Mina chuckled. "So is this essay as good as everybody says?" Jeff asked Dicey. He sat on the wall squinting up at her. Now how was Dicey supposed to answer that? "No, of course not," she said. That was probably the truth, but it was pretty good, she admitted. Dicey went over to her bike. "Where are you going now?" Mina asked. She put her books down to wrap a long scarf around her head and tuck it inside her coat. "To work," Dicey said. "You've got a job? Where? Doing what?" "At Millie Tiding's store," she said. "I clean the place." Mina bent over to pick up her armload of books. "Okay if I walk with you? I live downtown." "Sure," Dicey said. They went down the winding road that led from the school and out onto the main road into town. "How did you get work papers?" Mina asked. "You're not older than we are you?" "If you are," she said, "you sure don't look it." "Millie never asked about them," Dicey said. "I guess she doesn't know about them. And she's known my grandmother all her life, so I guess she was doing Grandma a favor." "I never met your grandmother." "I heard about her," Mina said. Cars hurried past them. Dicey considered what to say. "What you heard probably isn't true," she finally said. "How come you live with her? And there are more of you, aren't there?" "Somebody told me. Maybe my little brother." "How come?" She stopped talking and stopped walking. "Dicey, was that your mother you were writing about?" Dicey looked up into Mina's face. She felt her mouth trying to find out what to answer. "No, I'm sorry, I shouldn't ask." "Me and my big mouth. Pretend I never said that, will you? Let's forget it. Let's talk about the weather. Cold, isn't it?" Dicey grinned. "You didn't hold out your hand with it clenched up," Grandma said. "No, it's okay. It was Mama." She started walking again, and Mina walked with her. A fuel truck roared past them, heading east, inland. "That's how come we're here with Graham. There are 4 of us. I'm the oldest." "I'm the second youngest," Mina said. She was offering Dicey a way out, but Dicey didn't take it. "The funny thing is, we didn't even know until this summer we had a grandmother. Mama never said, and Graham never knew about us either. Not until we all showed up." "Really?" Mina thought. "Do you get along okay? Are you going to stay long with her?" "She's going to adopt us." "But what about your mother?" "The doctors don't think she'll ever get better." They were at the store by then, to Dicey's relief. "Come on in and get warm," Dicey said. Inside, Sammy waited for her. He waited right by the door, watching. He was watching for her to come, but he didn't say anything when she said hello. Dicey introduced him to Mina. Sammy's forehead had a cut on it, and his cheek had been scraped. Somebody had painted his face with mercurochrome. Millie started to come out from behind the meat counter. "Sammy?" Dicey asked him. "Did you ever play marbles?" he asked. Dicey shook her head. She guessed he didn't want to talk to her, but she wanted to know what happened. "What are you doing here?" she asked. He shrugged. "I can't ride the bus for a week. That's 2 days next week, too." "Why?" "It's Thanksgiving this week," he told her. Dicey had forgotten. "I forgot," she said. She introduced Mina to Millie. They shook hands, and Millie told Mina to call her Millie, not Mrs. Tidings. "Do you play marbles?" Sammy asked Mina. "I used to," Millie said. "We all did. Marbles and jacks. Jacks for the girls and marbles for the boys. Only the girls all wanted to play marbles, too. I guess to show we could. I don't remember the boys ever wanting to play jacks with us. Kids still play jacks, don't they?" Dicey never had. "I did," Mina said. "Remember Pig in a Poke?" she asked Millie. "I sure do," Millie said. "Everybody has them now," Sammy said. "I got some last week. I've lost about half of them," he said. "I'm coming home with you after work," he told Dicey. "I called Graham so she won't worry." "Sammy, could you show me how to shoot marbles?" Mina asked. "Dicey's got to work, but I always wondered." "In here?" "No, outside, unless it's too cold for you." "It's not cold around here," Sammy said. They went outside. Dicey got to work. She was checking the sale dates on the canned and boxed goods. She did this once a month. Millie kept an eye on the dairy products and bread, but she forgot that other things also had limited shelf life. "You won't be working on Thursday," Millie observed. "I had to remind Ab to get herself a turkey." We don't need a turkey, Dicey said. They hadn't celebrated Thanksgiving in Provincetown except for the days off from school. I could come in on Friday if you wanted. I guess that's all right. I go up to Salisbury. I know a widow lady up there. She makes the dinner and I bring the turkey. I could come in Friday morning if you'd rather, Dicey offered. Doesn't matter to me. The afternoon is fine. He looks like he was in a fight. Dicey nodded agreement but didn't say anything. She tried without success to get Sammy to tell her what he'd fought about. All he would say was that Millie had washed him off. She knew Graham when Graham was little. Do you think Graham knows how to shoot marbles? Why would she know that? Dicey asked. She might, Sammy insisted. I gotta learn how or I'll lose them all and it's $1 a bag. What about the bus? Dicey demanded. It was hard trying to talk to him with the cold wind and without being able to see his face. It's my punishment for fighting on the bus, Sammy said. It's okay. Do you mind? I suppose I'm going to be riding you in too, Dicey realized. If it stays cold, we'll have to put off playing until spring, and I'll have time to practice. The barn would be a good place, Sammy said. Dicey gave up. Graham grilled Sammy when they got home, but learned nothing. She didn't seem to mind the punishment of not being able to ride the school bus for a week. She agreed with Sammy that that was fair. Except to Dicey, she added. It's okay, Dicey said quickly. Graham dropped the subject until they had all finished dinner and were loitering about the table. All during dinner they had talked about the Thanksgiving meal and what they would eat, and whether they would ask Mr. Langerly. Graham said she'd call him that evening to see if he'd like to come out and eat with them. But why none of you told me Thanksgiving was coming? What's the good of having children around if they don't keep you up to date? She'd asked, but she was teasing them, so nobody answered. Then, what about these fights? She asked. Sammy wouldn't meet her eyes. James looked a question at Dicey, and she shook her head to say she didn't know any more than he did. When it became clear that Sammy wasn't about to say anything, Graham looked at Dicey and James for help. Who'd you fight with? James asked. He got up to clear their plates away. Dicey realized he'd done that so Sammy would think he didn't care much about the answer. She thought that was pretty smart. Ernie, Sammy said. He that big kid? James asked. Yeah. You never play marbles, did you? I don't like him, Maybeth volunteered. Why not? Asked Graham. He picks on kids, she said. Does he pick on you? Graham asked. Dicey knew what she was thinking. No, I keep away from him. He picks on them in a mean way, Maybeth said. What did you and Ernie fight about? Graham asked. Nothing, Sammy said. Hey, Graham, did you used to play marbles when you were little? Millie said she did, so maybe you did. Could you play with me sometime if you did? I bet you were good at it, so you could help me practice. Stick to the point, Graham said. You fought with Ernie. Is he in your class? Sammy nodded. Do you like him? I don't know, Sammy said. He's my only friend. Was it just Ernie you fought with? Sammy shook his head. So you fought with Ernie and some of his friends, Graham asked. She sounded like she would never run out of patience. Sammy looked around the room. Yeah, he said. They don't ride the bus. Was there anybody on your side? Graham asked. Sammy shook his head. Custer tried to stop us. We weren't on school grounds, he pointed out. And anyway, if I could get enough to win all Ernie's marbles, that would show him. Show him what? Graham demanded. Sammy looked all around at their faces. He was wondering if he had fallen into a trap, Dicey knew. Show him I'm better at marbles than he is, Sammy announced triumphantly. But Sammy, you ought to tell us what you were fighting about, Graham said. Sammy shook his head. Dicey had to admire the way he stuck to himself. It doesn't matter. If it doesn't matter, then why are you fighting? It doesn't matter to you. It just matters to me. His jaw was thrust out and he changed the subject again. You didn't answer if you'll play marbles with me. Oh, I don't know. I can't even remember, Graham started. Then she smiled at Sammy, smiled slow. I will, if you'll tell me what you're fighting about. And I was pretty good when I was a girl. Not even the boys could beat me. Sammy was tempted. He wriggled in his chair and refused to smile back at Graham. Got you now, Graham said. No, you don't, Sammy told her, but smiling himself now. Okay, I give up. I'll play with you anyway, and I'll teach you everything I know, if I remember any of it. But I surely wish you'd tell us. Sammy shook his head apologetically. Then I wish you'd stop. I try. I'll try harder, Sammy said, honest. All right, you're excused, Graham said. He burst out of the room. She sat looking after him. He wouldn't say anything to me either, Dicey said, before Graham could ask. Well, I don't know, Graham said. Neither did anyone else. All right, that seems like a nice natural place to stop. So, as always, I hope you are enjoying the book, and I will be back with some more for you very soon. In the meantime, feel free to like, subscribe, click the bell icon to get notifications of all my uploads, and I will be back soon with more stuff. Bye, guys.